My sister told me not to bring my cheap attitude to her birthday party, so I brought something she never saw coming. By the time I clinked my glass for a toast, all eyes were on me. Not on her 5-tier cake, not on her designer dress, not even on the fiancé she'd stolen from me. She thought I was there to embarrass her with bad manners. Instead, I was there to expose a truth that would shatter her perfect little world and finally set me free. My name is Mila, I'm 24, and I've spent most of my life standing in the shadow of my older sister Hannah. If you ask my parents, they'd say Hannah is the successful one. She's 27. She runs an event planning business, drives a white BMW, and posts filtered stories of luxury brunches and rooftop cocktails. I work as a receptionist at a small law firm and live in a tiny apartment with mismatched furniture and a leaky kitchen. To my family, that difference isn't just about money. It's about worth. Growing up, Hannah was the princess. Dance recitals, birthday parties, prom, all about her. I was the backup, the understudy, the one who got the leftover dress, the leftover attention, the leftover love. I tried not to mind. I really did. But that was before Hannah stole my boyfriend. And before she called my whole personality cheap. I met Ethan when I was 22. He was quiet, funny in a dry way, and he made me feel seen. Not Hannah's younger sister seen me. We'd been dating for a year when I finally brought him home for dinner. Hannah locked onto him immediately. Wow, she said with her perfect fake laugh, flipping her blonde hair. Mila, finally upgraded, huh? I laughed it off. It's what I always did. I didn't see the way her eyes lingered on him. Or maybe I did and I just didn't want to admit it. A few months later, Ethan started canceling plans. Work, headaches, just tired. You know how you can feel someone slipping away, even before you have proof. That was me standing in my bathroom at midnight, staring at my phone, refreshing our messages, trying to pretend I wasn't being ghosted in slow motion. The proof came a week later. I was scrolling Instagram when I saw it. A tagged photo from some rooftop bar. Hannah, in a tight red dress, leaning into Ethan, his arm around her waist. The caption, when you just click with someone. I don't even remember dropping my phone, but I remember the sound when it hit the floor. I confronted Ethan first. He didn't deny it. I wanted to tell you, he said, staring at the ground. But Hannah and I just have more in common. We're compatible. Then he said the line that etched itself into my brain forever. You're kind, Mila, but you're small. You don't dream big like she does. Small, cheap. It wasn't one word. It was the feeling they both gave me, like I was a thrift store human in their designer world. I cut them both off. I blocked Ethan. I muted Hannah on Instagram. But I still had to see her at family dinners, still had to listen to my mom, Linda, say things like, Mila, don't be petty. Love is complicated. Complicated, right? Fast forward almost 2 years. Hannah and Ethan were engaged. Yes, engaged. My parents were over the moon. He's such a catch. My dad, Mark, kept saying, solid career, polite, successful. Your sister will have a great life. Nobody seemed to care that he used to be my boyfriend. Nobody seemed to care that it was betrayal. They just cared that he looked good in a suit and said, sir and ma'am, I chose my battles. I didn't go to their engagement party. I claimed I was sick, which wasn't a total lie. I felt sick just thinking about it. But life has a weird way of circling back because I work at a law firm, and one slow Tuesday afternoon, I saw Ethan's full name pop up on a document. I was at the front desk, sorting mail when the senior partner, Mr. Collins, came out of his office with a folder. Mila, can you scan this case file and send it to my email? He asked. I took the folder without thinking. As I walked to the scanner, the name on the first page caught my eye, Ethan James Carter. My heart street.it was a complaint about fraud. Something about fake investment schemes, promising high returns, then disappearing with the client's money. At first, I thought I was imagining things. Ethan was in finance, sure, but fraud? I shouldn't have read on. Technically, it wasn't my job, but hurt and curiosity mix into something dangerous. The more I skimmed, the colder I felt. According to the complaint, Ethan had convinced at least 3 clients to pour money into a short-term property fund that didn't exist. He'd used his charm, his credentials, and even photos of rented houses to seem legitimate. The total damage? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. There were email screenshots, bank transfers, Even a copy of his driver's license.it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a pattern. My first thought wasn't revenge. It was Hannah, for all her flaws, for all the ways she'd hurt me. She didn't deserve to marry a con artist. Nobody did. I waited until my shift ended, then went home and sat on my bed with the folder open in my mind, replaying every word. I thought about calling her. I thought about staying out of it. I thought about the night she stole my boyfriend with a smile and a hashtag. Then I picked up my phone. I texted her, "Hey, I need to talk to you. It's important. It's about Ethan." She replied immediately, "Hannah, ugh, what now, Mila?" "Hannah, if this is about the past, get over it. We're adults.me. It's not about that. I saw his name on a fraud case at work. I think he's scamming people. I have proof." The typing dots disappeared, then came back. "Hannah, are you serious right now? Hannah, you're so obsessed with me, it's pathetic. Hannah, you always bring your cheap attitude into everything good in my life. Hannah, don't bring that to my party next week. I mean it." I stared at the screen. There it was. Cheap attitude. Not just my clothes. Not just my income. My concern was cheap. My warning was cheap. I wasn't a sister in her eyes. I was background noise. I took a deep breath and wrote back something I knew would make sense later. Me. "Okay, I won't bring my cheap attitude. I'll bring something else instead." She didn't respond. For the next week, I wrestled with myself. Part of me wanted to stay away. Let her live her life. Let the truth find her on its own. Maybe it wasn't my place, but another part of me remembered all the times she stood by while I was humiliated. How she laughed when Ethan left me. How my parents minimized my pain because it was inconvenient for their golden child's fairy tale. I wasn't out for blood. I didn't want to destroy her. I wanted the truth out in the open. And this time, I wanted it to be me holding the mic.so. I made a plan.at the office. During lunch breaks, I quietly gathered information. I didn't steal or hack anything. I just read the complaint documents, the emails, the summary notes from the partner meetings. There was more than enough to prove that Ethan wasn't the angel my parents thought he was. Using public records and some late-night Googling, I found 2 of the victims named in the complaint. A retired couple, Susan and Robert, and a single mom named Emily. Their statements were included in the case. Reading their stories, losing retirement savings, struggling to pay rent, made my stomach twist. This wasn't just karma for Hannah. This was real harm. I decided I was going to tell the truth at the party. Not with a screaming match. Not with a thrown drink. With receipts. I printed out redacted copies of the complaint and highlighted Ethan's name. I downloaded screenshots of the emails onto a USB drive. And because my sister is an event planner who lives for big gestures, I knew one thing for sure. There would be a projector at her party. The night of the party. I almost backed out. I stood in front of my mirror in a simple black dress I'd bought on sale. I did my makeup the best I could, curled my hair, and stared at my reflection. "You're not cheap," I whispered to myself. "You're not small." I grabbed my purse, double-checked that the USB drive was inside, and headed out. Hannah had rented a fancy rooftop venue downtown. Fairy lights draped across the ceiling, soft music played in the background, and there was a giant banner that said, "Happy 27th, Hannah, the best is yet to come." The moment I walked in, I felt eyes on me. Some curious, some judgmental. My mom rushed over, hugging me too tightly. "Oh good, you made it. Try not to start anything tonight, okay? This is Hannah's day." Of course, Hannah's day. As always, I spotted Hannah across the room, laughing loudly in a sparkly silver dress. Ethan stood next to her in a perfectly tailored suit, one hand resting on her lower back like he owned her. When she saw me, her smile flickered for a moment, then settled back in place. "Mila," she said, air kissing my cheek. "You look cute. Thanks for coming. You're staying out of drama tonight, right?" "Absolutely," I said, smiling back. "I'm just here to celebrate." She nodded, already dismissing me, and went back to her circle of friends. As the night went on, guests made speeches. Her best friend, Chloe, talked about how Hannah was the most loyal person she knew. My parents talked about how proud they were of her, how she always aimed high, how she was going to have a beautiful wedding with a wonderful man. Each compliment felt like a brick on my chest. Then the DJ announced, "We're going to have one last toast before cutting the cake. Anyone else want to say a few words?" This was my moment. My hands trembled as I walked toward the small stage area. I could feel Hannah's eyes on me, narrowed, suspicious. "Mila?" she called lightly. "Make it quick, okay?" The microphone was cool in my hand. I took a deep breath. "Hi everyone," I began. "I'm Mila. I'm Hannah's younger sister." A few polite claps. Someone whispered, "Oh, this should be interesting." I forced a smile. "Hannah told me not to bring my cheap attitude to her party," I said. A few people snickered. Hannah's face flushed. "So I decided to bring something else instead." I reached into my purse and pulled out the small USB drive, holding it up between my fingers. I brought the truth. The room shifted. The DJ looked at me, then at Hannah, confused. "There's a projector here, right?" I asked. "Could we hook this up?" Hannah took a step forward. "Mila, what are you doing?" "Just showing you what you never wanted to see," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "Give me 5 minutes. If I'm wrong, I'll walk out and never bother you again. But if I'm right, you deserve to know who you're marrying." Whispers rippled through the crowd. Curiosity is powerful. Even the DJ seemed caught in it. He shrugged. "It'll only take a second to plug in." Hannah looked at Ethan. "Tell her to stop." Ethan's confident facade was starting to crack. "Mila, this isn't the time or place." I held his gaze. "Funny, that's what your victims probably thought, too." The word victims landed like a slap. The DJ plugged in the USB, switched the input, and a document appeared on the white screen behind me. "Complaint for fraudulent misrepresentation, defendant Ethan James Carter." Gasps filled the room. I walked to the screen and pointed at the name. "This is a legal complaint filed against Ethan for fraud. He's accused of taking people's money under the guise of investments and never paying it back." Hannah shook her head, her voice shaking. "This is fake. You're making this up because you're jealous." "I work at the law firm handling this case," I said calmly. "I didn't hack anything. I didn't forge anything. This is real." I redacted client details, but I left enough for you to see it's not a joke. I clicked to the next slide. Redacted email screenshots. The words were clear. Ethan promising guaranteed returns, asking for one more transfer, reassuring worried clients that everything was totally secure. I read the statements. I continued. "A retired couple who lost most of their savings. A single mom who can't pay rent. These aren't minor mistakes. This is a pattern." The room had gone silent except for the soft hum of the projector. I turned back to my sister. "Hannah," I said gently, "I tried to tell you privately. You called me obsessed. You called my concern cheap. I'm not doing this to humiliate you. I'm doing this to stop you from tying your life to someone who destroys other people's futures." Her mascara was starting to run. "Ethan, say something." Every head turned to him. He opened his mouth, closed it, then swallowed. "There are details she doesn't understand," he said weakly. "It's complicated." "Did you or did you not take that money?" I demanded. He started. You could feel the answer in the hesitation. Hannah felt it too. Her shoulders sagged just a little. "Get out," she whispered. Everyone thought she was talking to me. Then she turned to Ethan, voice breaking but louder this time. "Get out." He tried to approach her. "Hands out." "Hannah, listen. I can explain." She backed away like he was toxic. "You lied to me. You lied to everyone. Were you going to use our wedding to reel in more clients? More victims?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. My dad stepped forward, jaw tight, and pointed at the exit. "You heard her. Leave." Ethan looked around the room, searching for an ally and finding none. He glared at me. "This is on you," he hissed under his breath as he walked past. "No," I said quietly. "This is on you." The door closed behind him with a final echoing click. For a moment, everyone just stood there. The fairy lights twinkled, the cake sat untouched, and the giant "best is yet to come." The banner swayed softly in the breeze. Hannah stared at the screen, then at me. Her voice came out hoarse. "Why did you do it like this?" "Because you never listen to me when it's just us," I said, my own eyes burning. "Because every time I try, I'm jealous or dramatic or cheap. You only take things seriously when there's an audience." She flinched. Because it was true. Tears spilled down her cheeks. For once, she didn't bother wiping them away in some graceful, aesthetic way. "I hurt you, didn't I?" she whispered. "With Ethan, with everything." "Yes," I said. No sugarcoating, no minimizing. "You did." We stood there, two sisters, surrounded by people but suddenly completely alone. "I don't know how to fix this," she said. "I don't either," I replied. But step 1 is seeing me as a real person, not just your backup character. And step 2 is not marrying criminals. A few people laughed, a strained, nervous sound that eased some of the tension. Hannah let out a shaky breath that was almost a laugh. Okay, I can do that. The party obviously didn't go as planned. There was no dramatic cake cutting, no romantic slow dance. People left in quiet clusters, murmuring about what they'd just seen. My parents were stunned, but eventually, my dad came up to me and said, "You should have come to us first." I did, I said softly. For years, he didn't have an answer. Later, when most of the guests were gone and the staff was cleaning up, I found Hannah sitting alone at one of the tables, heels off, staring at the skyline. I sat across from her without saying anything. After a while she spoke. "Were you scared?" she asked. "Before you did that?" "Terrified," I admitted. "I didn't want to hurt you. I just didn't want you to be the only one whose comfort mattered." She nodded slowly. "I'm sorry I called you cheap." "I know," I said. "But I needed you to see that I'm not." "You're not," she agreed. "You're kind of a badass actually." That made me laugh. "Don't let it go to your head. You still suck." "Fair," she said, smiling weakly. We weren't magically healed. This wasn't a movie where sisters hug and everything's perfect by the end. But it was the first real conversation we'd had in years, and for once, I didn't feel small. So, that's my story. My sister told me not to bring my cheap attitude to her party. I brought the truth instead. If you were me, would you have exposed Ethan at the party, or handled it in private and risked being ignored again? Let me know in the comments what you would have done. And if you want more stories like this about betrayal, revenge, and standing up for yourself, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.